Hey there, and welcome to this deep dive, where we're going to be exploring some really fascinating territory.
Fascinating, and maybe even a little bit spooky.
Oh yeah, definitely spooky.
The world of spiritual obsession.
It's interesting how this concept,
Right.
which might seem kind of far out to some people,
Hmm.
can actually shed light on some very real human experiences, especially when it comes to mental and emotional well-being.
Absolutely. And how
Yeah,
much do our past actions
right?
and even past lives influence our present state?
That's what we're going to try to find out today.
Yeah.
We're diving deep into the book Broken Shackles by Divaldo Franco,
Mm-hmm.
dictated by the spirit Manuel Philomeno de Miranda.
Yes.
This book presents a compelling case study that really brings these ideas to life.
It does.
It's about a young woman named Esther who is experiencing severe mental distress,
Yeah.
and a spirit named Matthias who is connected to her in a way that goes beyond the realm of conventional understanding.
Beyond conventional understanding, that's a great way to put it.
So we've got a young woman in trouble and a mysterious spirit.
Right.
Where does Spiritism come into all of this?
Well, the book is rooted in the Spiritist perspective,
Okay.
which offers a unique understanding of these kinds of situations. One of the key principles here is the idea of spiritual indebtedness.
Spiritual embeddedness.
Yeah.
That sounds intense.
It is, in a way.
Oh, man.
Imagine it like this: every action we take generates a kind of energy, a ripple effect that impacts not just ourselves, but also the people around us. Sometimes these actions create imbalances,
Okay.
like debts that need to be settled.
Oh, so it's like cosmic karma.
Exactly.
What goes around comes around.
What goes around comes around. But it's not about punishment.
Okay.
It's more about a natural law of cause and effect.
Mm.
Spiritism suggests that sometimes these debts carry over from past lives,
Past life.
influencing our current experiences.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's apply this to our case study.
Okay.
How does this idea of spiritual indebtedness play out in the story of Esther and Matthias?
Well, in the book, we learn that Esther is being obsessed by the spirit of Matthias.
Okay.
He's seeking some kind of resolution, a settling of accounts for past wrongs.
So it's not just a random haunting.
Right.
There's a deeper reason behind it?
There's a deeper reason behind it. Spiritism views these situations as consequences of past actions, often stemming from unresolved conflicts or harm caused in previous lifetimes. The obsession is a manifestation of that unresolved energy-seeking balance.
Okay, that's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
But how do we know for sure that's what's happening with Esther?
Right.
It could just be a mental health issue, right?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
In the book, a spiritist and nurse named Rosangela is caring for Esther and senses that there's more to her condition than meets the eye.
So she's picking up on something that conventional medicine might miss.
Exactly. Rosangela sees a spiritual component to Esther's suffering
Okay.
and bravely suggests this possibility to her parents.
Oh, I bet that didn't go well.
Well, you're right about that. Esther's father, Colonel Santamaria, is a very skeptical man.
Yeah, I can imagine people don't always like to hear that there might be a spiritual explanation for their problems.
It can be a very challenging concept.
Yeah, for sure.
He sees Rosangela's suggestion as pure superstition
Right.
and has her removed from the hospital.
Yeah.
He's determined to find a conventional medical explanation for his daughter's condition.
He wants to stick to what he knows.
He does.
But there's another colonel in this story, right? Colonel Cabrera?
Yes, and he plays a crucial role in shifting Colonel Santamaria's perspective.
Okay, how so?
Well, Colonel Cabrera and his wife had their own experience with spiritual obsession when their son Giorgio fell ill.
So he's been down this road before.
He has. Initially, Colonel Cabrera was just as skeptical as Colonel Santamaria,
Okay.
but through his son's experience, he underwent a profound transformation and embraced Spiritism.
It sounds like he learned the hard way, that sometimes there are forces at play that we can't explain with just logic and reason.
Exactly, and this personal experience gives him the credibility to approach Colonel Santamaria and suggest that they consider the possibility of spiritual influence in Esther's case.
So we have two fathers, both initially skeptical, facing a situation that challenges their worldview. What happens next?
Well, Santamaria is struggling to find answers for his daughter's condition, and trusting his friend's experience starts to consider the possibility that there might be more to Esther's illness than meets the eye.
So he's starting to open up to that spiritual realm.
He is.
That must be a pretty unsettling experience.
It is. Imagine confronting the idea that the reality you thought you knew might be only part of the picture.
Wow.
And this is where the book takes us deeper into the investigation of what's really happening with Esther and this spirit Matthias.
Okay, so we're going to find out more about Matthias and his connection to Esther.
Yes.
And uncover their past life connection and how their actions from previous lifetimes are playing out in the present.
Buckle up, folks.
This deep dive is about to get really intense.
It is. So we've got Esther suffering from what appears to be, a severe mental illness.
Right.
And Matthias, a spirit seeking some sort of resolution. But it's important to understand that spiritual obsession,
Okay.
According to Spiritism, isn't always, as dramatic as it seems in this case.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
not always about vengeful spirits and hallucinations and stuff.
Not necessarily. Sometimes the signs can be much more subtle.
Okay.
Think persistent negative thoughts, difficulty concentrating,
Yeah.
unexplained anxieties, or even physical ailments that defy medical explanation. Spiritism suggests that these could be signs of spiritual influence.
That's interesting because those are all things that like a lot of people experience at some point in their lives.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder
Exactly.
what could be going on beneath the surface.
And that's why Spiritism encourages us to be open to multiple perspectives when it comes to, our well-being.
Right.
It doesn't dismiss conventional medicine.
Right.
But suggests that we consider the spiritual dimension as well.
Like adding another layer
Right.
to our understanding of the human experience.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get back to the story.
Okay.
We left off with Colonel Santa Maria starting to consider the possibility of spiritual influence in Esther's case. Where does he go from there?
Well, through a spiritual investigation guided by experienced spiritists,
Okay.
they uncover that a spirit named Matthias is indeed obsessing Esther and in a dramatic seance scene.
Well, okay.
Matthias, speaking through a medium named Joel, expresses his rage and pain, revealing a past life connection between himself and Esther.
Wait, hold on. A medium like a psychic.
Yes. In Spiritism, mediums are individuals who have a special sensitivity
Okay.
that allows them to act as a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. They can relay messages from spirits, allowing for communication and understanding.
So Matthias is speaking through this medium, Joel,
Right.
and reveals a past life connection with Esther.
Yes. It turns out that in a previous lifetime, Esther, then named Edwardina,
Okay.
was involved in a situation that led to Matthias, then named Casimiro,
Okay.
suffering and dying. This is where the concept of spiritual treatment comes in.
Spiritual treatment, is that like therapy for spirits?
In a way, yes. Spiritists believe that just like we can help people heal emotionally and psychologically, we can also help spirits find peace and resolution. Spiritual treatment involves prayer, positive energy, and guidance from more evolved spirits, helping those who are suffering in the spiritual realm to move on.
So it's about compassion and understanding, even for those who have caused harm.
Exactly. Spiritism emphasizes that we are all on a journey of spiritual growth and evolution.
Right.
And sometimes we make mistakes,
Yeah.
we stumble, and we cause harm. But those actions create debts and balances that need to be addressed.
So both Esther and Matthias are in need of healing and support, each in their own way.
Right, and Colonel Santa Maria, now aware of his past connection to Matthias,
Okay.
and realizing that his actions contributed to the spirit's suffering, feels deep remorse.
Oh, wow.
This realization is a turning point for him.
It must be incredibly challenging to confront the idea that you've caused harm even in a past life.
It is.
How does he deal with that guilt?
He decides to take responsibility. He commits to helping Matthias's family in their current life as a form of reparation. He travels to Salvador, where Matthias's mother Abigail and sister Josefa are living, to offer his support.
I can only imagine how difficult that must have been, like walking into that situation, facing the people whose lives he impacted so deeply.
It's a powerful step.
Takes a lot of courage to face those kinds of consequences head on.
It does, and as he expected.
Yeah.
They're initially very suspicious.
Right.
Remember, they've been through a lot themselves.
Right.
They faced poverty, hardship, and loss. It's not easy to trust someone who suddenly appears claiming a connection to their deceased son and offering help, especially when that someone represents a figure from their past who caused them so much pain.
So how does Colonel Santa Maria approach this? Does he just throw money at the problem and hope they'll forgive him?
No, he went in with humility and honesty. He acknowledged the specific ways he contributed to their suffering, expressed his regret, and asked for their forgiveness. He emphasized that he wasn't trying to buy his way out of anything, but genuinely wanted to make amends.
Wow, that's a powerful shift from the skeptical, dismissive colonel we met earlier.
It is.
It seems like he's really taking this responsibility to heart.
He is. He doesn't just apologize. He takes action.
Oh, wait.
He helps them financially, but also offers emotional support. Listens to their stories and acknowledges their pain. This act of genuine compassion starts to break down the walls of mistrust.
So what about Abigail? How does she respond to all of this? Does she forgive him?
While she appreciates his honesty and acknowledges the effort, she makes it clear that she's not ready to forgive him just yet.
Okay.
It's understandable, considering the depth of their shared history and the
Right.
pain that she's endured.
Hmm.
But she does accept his offer of help, and they begin a tentative relationship.
That's a huge step.
It is.
It seems like Colonel Santa Maria is really committed to making things right, even if it takes time.
He is.
But what about Matthias? Is he still obsessing Esther?
No, he has been separated from her
Okay.
and is undergoing his own spiritual treatment, guided by what Spiritists call a benefactor.
A benefactor, what is that?
In Spiritism, a benefactor is a highly evolved spirit dedicated to helping others progress. They act as guides and mentors, offering wisdom and support to those who are struggling both in the physical and spiritual realms. Think of them as spiritual guardians,
Oh, okay.
helping us navigate our journey of evolution.
So Matthias has a spiritual guide helping him through this difficult process.
Exactly. He's starting to confront his own anger and pain and let go of the desire for revenge. The book emphasizes that forgiveness isn't about condoning what happened, but rather freeing ourselves from the burden of negativity.
Right.
It benefits everyone involved, both the one who forgives and the one who is forgiven.
It sounds like everyone is on their own path to healing and understanding, but with such complex karmic ties.
Right.
I'm sure there are more twists and turns to come.
You're absolutely right. And the next part of our deep dive is where things get even more intriguing. Remember how we talked about past life connections?
Yes.
Well, it turns out that the story of Esther Matthias and Colonel Santa Maria goes back even further than their previous lives.
Wait, there's more. I thought one past life was enough to handle this. It's getting mind-blowing.
It is, and this revelation sheds even more light on the dynamics at play and why Matthias is so fixated on Esther. The benefactor reveals that in an even earlier lifetime, Esther, then named Edwardina, was a wealthy and influential woman. Matthias, then named Casimiro, was a soldier under the command of, you guessed it, Colonel Santa Maria.
Okay, hold on. So this karmic connection goes back even further than we thought.
It does.
Multiple lifetimes of interconnectedness. This is like a cosmic soap opera.
It is, and the events of that earlier life reveal another broken promise, another instance where Colonel Santa Maria unknowingly contributed to Matthias, or rather Casimiro's misfortune. It seems that certain patterns repeat across lifetimes until we learn the lessons they're trying to teach us.
Wow. Okay, I need to hear more about this earlier lifetime. What happened? What was the broken promise that Colonel Santa Maria made?
Well, Casimiro, as a soldier under Santa Maria's command during a time of war, had requested leave to go home and attend to his family who was in dire straits. Santa Maria focused on the war and what he perceived as the greater good, promised Casimiro leave, but ultimately didn't grant it.
Oh no, I bet this didn't end well.
Tragically, it didn't. Casimiro's young daughter, Josefa, passed away while he was away, and his wife, unable to cope with the grief and hardship, ended up in a situation that led to her moral decline. Casimiro died in battle, never knowing the tragedy that befell his family.
This is so heartbreaking. It's like a domino effect of pain and loss, all stemming from that one broken promise.
Yeah.
And now, lifetimes later, all the players are back facing the consequences of those actions. But how does understanding all of this past life trauma help them in the present? Where do they go from here?
That's what we'll pick up in our next deep dive. We'll explore how uncovering these past life connections helps Esther Matthias and Colonel Santa Maria find healing, forgiveness, and ultimately redemption.
I can't wait to hear how it all unfolds. This story has so many layers. It's a powerful reminder that our actions have consequences that can ripple across lifetimes. I'm definitely going to be thinking about this. All right, so let's pick up where we left off. We uncovered these really intricate karmic connections between Esther Matthias and Colonel Santa Maria, spanning multiple lifetimes.
What's so fascinating here is how the unveiling of these past life connections becomes a catalyst for healing and transformation in the present.
Yeah, it's like shining a light on the hidden roots of their suffering, allowing for deeper understanding and a path toward resolution.
Exactly.
So it's not just about like dredging up the past for the sake of it.
Right.
It's about using that knowledge to create a better present.
Exactly. In Spiritism, understanding the causes of our suffering is crucial for overcoming it.
Right.
It's not about blame or guilt, but about recognizing the patterns that have led us to where we are so we can choose a different path.
Okay, so let's talk about Colonel Santa Maria. He's already shown a willingness to take responsibility for his past actions. But now, knowing the full extent of his karmic debt,
Yeah.
I imagine the stakes feel even higher.
Absolutely. He's carrying a heavy burden of guilt and regret.
Right.
But he doesn't shy away from it. He travels to Salvador, determined to find Abigail and Josefa not just to offer financial help, but to truly connect with them, to acknowledge their pain and seek their understanding.
Knowing their history, I wouldn't blame them for just slamming the door in his face.
Right.
How does he approach them?
He goes in with humility and honesty. He recounts the events revealed during the seance, detailing his role in Casimiro's suffering, his broken promise, and the tragic consequences that followed. He doesn't try to justify his actions or downplay their pain.
That must have been incredibly difficult. It takes a lot of courage to face those kinds of consequences head on.
It does, and it's this genuine sincerity that begins to soften Abigail's heart. She's initially skeptical, of course.
Right.
But she listens.
Did she just kick him out?
No, she surprises him with a confession of her own.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She reveals that she too had found solace in Spiritism.
Okay.
Spiritual guides had told her that her son Casimiro was suffering and needed her prayers.
Wow. So both Abigail and Colonel Santa Maria found their way to Spiritism through their shared connection to Matthias.
It's quite remarkable.
It's like their paths were converging, guided by these unseen forces.
It speaks to the interconnectedness of our lives, even across lifetimes. We're not just isolated individuals. Our actions have ripple effects that extend far beyond our immediate awareness.
Okay, so they have this shared ground, this understanding of the spiritual dimension.
Right.
But did Abigail forgive him?
Forgiveness is a complex process. It doesn't happen overnight, especially when deep wounds are involved, while she wasn't ready for full forgiveness just yet.
Okay.
She acknowledged his sincerity and accepted his offer of help.
Wow.
It wasn't about money, though he did provide financial support.
Right.
What Abigail truly needed was someone to listen, to understand, and to help her heal the wounds of the past.
And Colonel Santa Maria, burdened by guilt and regret, was finally in a position to offer that. It's a powerful example of how even the deepest karmic debts can be addressed through compassion and a genuine desire to make amends.
Absolutely.
But what about Josefa? How does she react to all this?
Remember, Josefa was also present during the seance.
Right.
Witnessing those past life revelations, she learned that she was once Maria do Socorro, the mother of Casimiro, and that her own daughter from that lifetime had reincarnated as her current mother, Abigail.
It's like a cosmic puzzle, all the pieces fitting together across lifetimes.
It is.
Did all this new information bring her closer to Esther?
Yes. A profound moment of healing takes place between Josefa and Esther during that same seance.
Really?
Esther, guided by compassionate spirits, approaches Josefa and with heartfelt sincerity asks for her forgiveness and support.
That's incredible. So the two women who were once rivals, bound by jealousy and betrayal in past lives, are now reaching out to each other for healing and understanding.
It's a beautiful illustration of how, even in the face of past transgressions, the power of forgiveness and compassion can pave the way for reconciliation and growth. It's about recognizing the shared humanity in all of us, regardless of past mistakes.
Oh, this is giving me goosebumps. Okay, so what about Matthias?
Yeah.
He's been undergoing spiritual treatment. Is he showing any signs of progress?
Yes. He's gradually shedding the layers of anger and resentment. His spiritual guide, the benefactor, is helping him understand the karmic lessons at play. Matthias is starting to see the bigger picture, how his own actions, even those motivated by pain and revenge, have contributed to the cycle of suffering.
So he's not just a victim of circumstance, he's starting to take responsibility for his own role in this karmic drama.
Exactly, and this understanding opens him up to the possibility of forgiveness, and healing it allows him to move forward, not weighed down by the burdens of the past.
So what about Esther? With Matthias separated from her and receiving spiritual help, is she getting better?
Yes, she's showing remarkable improvement. She's calmer, more lucid, and those terrifying hallucinations have subsided. The book suggests transferring her to a different hospital, one with a more nurturing and holistic environment to further support her recovery.
It makes sense that healing from such a deep-rooted spiritual challenge would require more than just addressing the immediate obsession.
It's about addressing the underlying causes, the karmic patterns that led to this situation in the first place, and it highlights how intertwined our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being truly are. We can't separate these aspects of ourselves. They're all interconnected.
So we're starting to see a glimmer of hope for everyone involved.
We are.
But what about Colonel Santa Maria?
Yeah.
He's taken responsibility for his past actions, sought forgiveness, and is actively helping Matthias's family. Has he found any peace?
That's a great question. He certainly seems lighter, less burdened by guilt and regret. He's actively working to make amends, not just through words, but through actions. And that in itself can be incredibly healing. It allows us to shift from a place of powerlessness to a place of empowerment where we can actively contribute to positive change.
But has he fully forgiven himself?
That's a journey that's unique to each individual, but the book hints that through his acts of compassion and his genuine desire to make amends, he's on the path to finding peace and redemption.
This entire story is so profound. It really makes you think about the ripple effects of our actions,
Yeah.
the interconnectedness of our lives across lifetimes, and the transformative power of forgiveness and compassion.
It reminds us that no matter how entangled we might be in these karmic webs,
Right.
there's always hope for healing and growth. It challenges us to look beyond surface judgments and see the shared humanity in everyone, even those who have wronged us.
That's a powerful message to carry with us.
It is.
It reminds us that we have the power to choose love over hate, forgiveness over resentment, and to create a more harmonious future for ourselves and for generations to come.
And this raises an important question for you to ponder. How do the choices you make today create ripples that might extend into the future? What kind of karmic legacy are you creating with your actions? It's a thought-provoking question to consider as we navigate this journey of life.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of spiritual obsession. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections. Thanks for joining us.